Worms of the Earth by Robert E. Howard. Chapter 5. The woman turned swiftly as Bran approached her door. Her slant eyes widened. "You, and alive and sane." "I have been into hell and I have returned," he growled. "What is more, I have that which I sought." "The black stone," she cried. "You really dared steal it. Where is it?" "No matter, but last night my stallion screamed in his stall, and I heard something crunch beneath his thundering hoofs, which was not the wall of the stable, and there was blood on his hoofs when I came to see, and blood on the floor of the stall. And I have heard stealthy sounds in the night, and noises beneath my dirt floor, as if worms burrowed deep in the earth. They know I have stolen their stone. Have you betrayed me?" She shook her head. "I keep your secret. They do not need my word to know you. The farther they have retreated from the world of men, the greater have grown their powers in other uncanny ways. Some dawn, your hut will stand empty, and if men dare investigate, they will find nothing except crumbling bits of earth on the dirt floor." Bran smiled terribly. "I have not planned and toiled thus far to fall prey to the talons of vermin. If they strike me down in the night, they will never know what became of their idol, or whatever it be to them. I would speak with them." "Dare you come with me and meet them in the night?" she asked. "Thunder of all gods," he snarled. "Who are you to ask me if I dare? Lead me to them and let me bargain for a vengeance this night. The hour of retribution draws nigh. This day I saw silvered helmets and bright shields gleam across the fens. The new commander has arrived at the Tower of Trajan, and Caius Camillus has marched to the wall." That night, the king went across the dark desolation of the moors with a silent woman. The night was thick and still, as if the land lay in ancient slumber. The stars blinked vaguely, mere points of red, struggling through the unbreathing gloom. Their gleam was dimmer than the glitter in the eyes of the woman who glided beside the king. Strange thoughts shook Bran, vague, titanic, primeval. Tonight, ancestral linkings with these slumbering fens stirred in his soul and troubled him with the phantasmal eon-veiled shapes of monstrous dreams. The vast age of his race was born upon him, where now he walked, an outlaw and an alien, dark-eyed kings in whose mould he was cast had reigned in old times. The Celtic and Roman invaders were as strangers to this ancient isle beside his people. Yet his race likewise had been invaders, and there was an older race than his. A race whose beginnings lay lost and hidden back beyond the dark oblivion of antiquity. Ahead of them loomed a low range of hills which formed the easternmost extremity of those straying chains, which far away climbed at last to the mountains of Wales. The woman led the way up what might have been a sheep path and halted before a wide black gaping cave. "A door to those you seek, O king!" Her laughter rang hateful in the gloom. "Dare ye enter?" His fingers closed in her tangled locks, and he shook her viciously. "Ask me but once more if I dare," he grated, "and your head and shoulders part company. Lead on." Her laughter was like sweet, deadly venom. They passed into the cave, and Bran struck flint and steel. The flicker of the tinder showed him a wide, dusty cavern, on the roof of which hung clusters of bats. Lighting a torch, he lifted it and scanned the shadowy recesses, seeing nothing but dust and emptiness. "Where are they?" he growled. She beckoned him to the back of the cave and leaned against the rough wall, as if casually. But the king's keen eyes caught the motion of her hand pressing hard against a projecting ledge. He recoiled as a round black well gaped suddenly at his feet. Again her laughter slashed him like a keen silver knife. He held the torch to the opening and again saw small worn steps leading down. "They do not need those steps," said Atla. "Once they did, before your people drove them into the darkness. But you will need them." She thrust the torch into a niche above the well. It shed a faint red light into the darkness below. She gestured into the well, and Bran loosened his sword and stepped into the shaft. As he went down into the mystery of the darkness, the light was blotted out above him, and he thought for an instant Atla had covered the opening again. Then he realized that she was descending after him. The descent was not a long one. Abruptly, Bran felt his feet on a solid floor. Atla swung down beside him and stood in the dim circle of light that drifted down the shaft. Bran could not see the limits of the place into which he had come. "Many caves in these hills," said Atla, her voice sounding small and strangely brittle in the vastness, "are but doors to greater caves which lie beneath, even as a man's words and deeds are, but small indications of the dark caverns of murky thought lying behind and beneath." And now Bran was aware of movement in the gloom. The darkness was filled with stealthy noises, not like those made by any human foot. Abruptly, sparks began to flash and float in the blackness like flickering fireflies. Closer they came until they girdled him in a wide half-moon. And beyond the ring gleamed other sparks, a solid sea of them, fading away in the gloom until the farthest were mere tiny pinpoints of light. And Bran knew they were the slanted eyes of the beings who had come upon him in such numbers that his brain reeled at the contemplation and at the vastness of the cavern. Now that he faced his ancient foes, Bran knew no fear. He felt the waves of terrible menace emanating from them, the grisly hate, the inhuman threat to body, mind and soul. More than a member of a less ancient race, he realized the horror of his position, but he did not fear, though he confronted the ultimate horror of the dreams and legends of his race. His blood raced fiercely, but it was with the hot excitement of the hazard, not the drive of terror. "They know you have the stone, O king," said Atla, and though he knew she feared, though he felt her physical efforts to control her trembling limbs, there was no quiver of fright in her voice. "You are in deadly peril. They know your breed of old. Oh, they remember the days when their ancestors were men. I cannot save you. Both of us will die, as no human has died for 10 centuries. Speak to them if you will. They can understand your speech, though you may not understand theirs. But it will avail not. You are human and a Pict." Bran laughed, and the closing ring of fire shrank back at the savagery in his laughter. Drawing his sword, with a soul-chilling rasp of steel, he set his back against what, he hoped, was a solid stone wall. Facing the glittering eyes, with his sword gripped in his right hand and his dirk in his left, he laughed as a blood-hungry wolf snarls. "Aye," he growled, "I am a Pict, a son of those warriors who drove your brutish ancestors before them, like chaff before the storm, who flooded the land with your blood and heaped high your skulls for a sacrifice to the Moon Woman. You, who fled of old before my race, dare ye now snarl at your master? Roll on me like a flood now, if ye dare. Before your viper fangs drink my life, I will reap your multitudes like ripened barley. Of your severed heads will I build a tower, and of your mangled corpses will I rear up a wall. Dogs of the dark, vermin of hell, worms of the earth, rush in and try my steel. When death finds me in this dark cavern, your living will howl for the scores of your dead, and your black stone will be lost to you forever. For only I know where it is hidden, and not all the torches of all the hells can wring the secret from my lips." Then followed a tense silence. Bran faced the fire-lit darkness, tensed like a wolf at bay, waiting the charge. At his side, the woman cowered, her eyes ablaze. Then, from the silent ring that hovered beyond the dim torchlight, rose a vague, abhorrent murmur. Bran, prepared as he was for anything, started. Gods, was that the speech of creatures which had once been called men? Atla straightened, listening intently. From her lips came the same hideous soft sibilances, and Bran, though he had already known the grisly secret of her being, knew that never again could he touch her, save with soul-shaken loathing. She turned to him, a strange smile curving her red lips, dimly in the ghostly light. "They fear you, O king. By the black secrets of our lie, who are you, that hell itself quails before you? Not your steel, but the stark ferocity of your soul has driven unused fear into their strange minds. They will buy back the black stone at any price." "Good," Bran sheathed his weapons. "They shall promise not to molest you because of your aid of me. And," his voice hummed like the purr of a hunting tiger, "they shall deliver into my hands Titus Sula, governor of Eberacum, now commanding the Tower of Trajan. This they can do, how, I know not. But I know that in the old days, when my people warred with these children of the night, babes disappeared from guarded huts, and none saw the stealers come or go. Do they understand?" Again rose the low, frightful sounds, and Bran, who feared not their wrath, shuddered at their voices. "They understand," said Atla. "Bring the black stone to Dagon's ring tomorrow night, When the earth is veiled, with the blackness that foreruns the dawn, lay the stone on the altar. There they will bring Titus Sula to you. Trust them. They have not interfered in human affairs for many centuries, but they will keep their word. Bran nodded and, turning, climbed up the stair with Atla close behind him. At the top he turned and looked down once more. As far as he could see, floated a glittering ocean of slanted yellow eyes upturned, but the owners of those eyes kept carefully beyond the dim circle of torchlight, and of their bodies he could see nothing. Their low hissing speech floated up to him, and he shuddered, as his imagination visualized not a throng of biped creatures, but a swarming, swaying myriad of serpents gazing up at him with their glittering, unwinking eyes. He swung into the upper cave, and Atla thrust the blocking stone back in place. It fitted into the entrance of the well with uncanny precision. Bran was unable to discern any crack in the apparently solid floor of the cavern. Atla made a motion to extinguish the torch, but the king stayed her. "Keep it so until we are out of the cave," he grunted. "We might tread on an adder in the dark." Atla's sweetly hateful laughter rose maddeningly in the flickering gloom.